Drawing facial expressions is a really fun way to explore your understanding of facial anatomy. We can often forget that even the smallest movement and slightest dynamic changes in facial features can really convey a unique expression or emotion. Understanding how to draw facial expressions also gives you more options when trying to convey an emotion within various character designs. So with that being said, hey guys, my name is Matt. Welcome to another video by artincontext.org where we explore various art-related topics. And in today's video, we will be looking at a few variations of facial expressions in different character designs. So with that being said, we will be working with very simple tools where we are obviously trying to understand the fundamentals of how to shape faces in different ways to represent different facial expressions. So we can work with very simple materials, but the way in which we're going to start this tutorial is by first understanding the fundamentals of proportion. So there are many ways to create facial expression drawings, but some methods such as the loomis method can make our lives much easier. Having a sense of placement for different features will help you to understand the scale, proportion, and shape of faces. So the first thing we want to do is understand the guidelines for constructing a face. We want to start by utilizing the proportional guidelines of the loomis method. For more extensive information regarding the loomis method and how to use it, you can look at the link that is inserted below. So with facial expressions, we want to make sure the placement of features remain accurate. However, with unique expressions, we can start to shift these various features in subtle ways to define unique emotions. Once we know the placement of the features and where they should go, we can then start to think about the expression we are trying to convey, and this is where we start to play with the shape of these various features. Understanding the shape in the face is also really important, so you'll notice that your face is made up of various shapes collectively working together to define your various facial expressions. This is where we try to think about the unique shape related to a specific emotion. For instance, the rectangular shape for eyebrows or of eyebrows, the hexagonal shape of the eyes, the triangular shape of the nose, and how we can kind of break down the face into these really fundamental shapes to understand how to change them in order to convey different emotions. So once we notice the shape of various features, we will start to see it as a key for defining unique expressions. We'll also see how it will therefore affect the surrounding features because of how all features are connected and how flexible the actual skin is. So naturally, when the eyes move, it shifts the skin around it, and in doing so we'll start to see how these various features within the face start to shift the skin around it. So the face is flexible with loose skin that moves around the main features. Now the next concept we really want to dial down is this concept of refining the features. So once you have established the features in correct proportions and worked out their unique shapes for specific facial expressions, we can then refine said features. This is where shadow and light play an important role in working with these main features and how they affect the surrounding skin on the face. We want to remember that the face is made up of a singular structure of skin that works together as a facial expression is emoted. So all the subtle shadows and the lines become an essential part of shaping and enhancing the facial expression and how they move around the main features. Now that we understand the basics and how to construct a face, let's explore drawing different facial expressions. So we're going to start by drawing an expressive crying face. So using the same sequence of steps, we can start shaping the face with some simple guidelines. We want to establish a circle, a cross section, and the placement of the eye sockets. Already we can start working with those guidelines to establish the general shape of the various features. So work with a reference image perhaps of a crying face to give you a better sense of shape for each feature. As we continue, we want to also remember that all faces emote in different ways, which means their shapes can change. However, we want to always be aware of the main features and how they distort the surrounding skin on the face. So in the case of a sad face, we can see that there are common movements in the main features, such as the downturned eyebrows or scrunched mouth. The eyebrows are a significant feature that can distinguish an emotion from angry to sad simply by how they are shaped. The eyes also tend to squint slightly when tears are forming, so this is often a sign of defense or an attempt to control one's tears and very unique to a saddened emotion. Again, the face is a connected structure, which means that the eyebrows will bunch, and we'll see then wrinkles in the forehead that form around the eyebrows, and this pulls the nose up slightly. So we really want to think about this connectedness between the features. The same could be said for how the mouth causes the skin on the chin to bunch as it perches into a stuttering or naturally saddened state. And as the main features take on their unique shapes as they express a specific emotion, we can see how it will inevitably cause striations within the surrounding skin on the face. This is where the wrinkles around the face caused by the main features start to enhance and further contextualize the specific emotion. We can work with these main features to define the motion and shading of the surrounding shadows in the face. And that is kind of a general process. So now that we kind of looked at a very specific emotion like a sad one, let's look at something completely different. Let's say a screaming face. So we can start the same way by establishing the face in its main proportions by utilizing the loomis method guidelines. Once again, it is about slowly placing the main features in their correct positions. With a screaming face, we can see a difference in the eyes that will determine whether it is a scream of fear or maybe something more neutral and playful. It is a unique movement in the face because it also elongates the face. So we want to take our time making sense of what a scream really is, or what kind of scream we are representing. In this case, let's maybe work with a fearful scream, and we see similarities in the saddened eyes where they are defensive and squints, resulting in a more narrow shape to protect itself. We also want to consider how large the mouth will open, and by nature this will cause a linear shadow of skin formations alongside the face and kind of working its way around the mouth. Now once you have worked out the placement and proportions, you can then start refining the features again into more specific features on the face. So we always want to know the general shape and then refine them into the specific features of the character. This is where we consider the masculine or feminine qualities of the character, asking questions like, are they male or female, do they have thin or thick eyebrows, and basically have this kind of discussion in our mind in terms of how we are not only representing the facial expressions through their basic shapes, but how these shapes are defined by the masculine or feminine qualities of the character. Remember, we think about the main shapes in the face and by nature how they flow into the surrounding features and how that affects the surrounding skin in the face. So as the mouth widens, the skin alongside the mouth will naturally kind of pull tighter, creating striations that form linear shadow formations along the sides of the mouth. So we really want to think about what's happening along the side of these main features in the skin due to their unique movements. This will then define how the skin will develop these very unique shadow formations that emphasize these main features and how they proportionally connect them. So we can also see how in the case of fear, the squinting motion in the eyes cause the eyebrows to bunch, and this will cause some wrinkles and creases in the forehead as well, resulting in a fearful expression rather than a playful one. We can then proceed to enhance these emotions with shading that defines the shadow formations more significantly. Once you have the correct proportions and shapes, remember that we are then refining them to suit the unique attributes of the character. Now as we proceed, we're going to look at drawing a surprised expression on a face. So we're going to obviously look at a new facial expression, and in this case a surprised one. So at this point we should be feeling fairly comfortable with the establishment of the facial proportions through the use of the loomis method. Again, you can look at a link below that kind of shows you a full comprehensive video on the loomis method and how to draw faces in or utilizing that specific drawing method. In this drawing we will explore a more sarcastic surprised expression. So surprised expressions are unique because they could be related to a reaction of something cringeworthy or awkward feelings. So this generally causes the eyes to enlarge as the mouth tightens. So again, this is one way to express it because faces do express emotions in various ways. So in this case we can see how the use of two different shapes in the face can be used together to represent a unique expression of surprise. So we can do this with a circular shape in the eyes and raised eyebrows to represent a sense of surprise. This is where we see how the eyes and mouth work together in very unique ways to represent a very specific expression. As we do so, again, we must always consider the unique attributes of the character and how their facial features are represented through unique movements for various facial expressions. In this case of a surprised expression, there are many ways to create this particular type of emotion, but one of them is to work with a widened eye expression. The mouth can do many things. In this case, we are defining a more tightening type of closing in the mouth for a sense of awkwardness, and this might represent a more cringe-like response. Maybe something awkward or embarrassing happened and the facial expression kind of was like, whoa. Anyways, so this is a very specific way of representing this particular type of expression. But anyways, there are many ways to do this. Maybe something like an open mouth expression might be more representative of a feeling of shock. The idea is to play around with these main features and see how they can be defined in various ways to represent different emotions. Now, as we proceed, we're going to draw another sad face, but this time we're going to explore kind of a different way of representing a sad face. So the way in which we can start once again is by establishing a face with the general guidelines of the loomis method. Remember to establish the general features with the correct proportional positions before playing with the unique shapes in each feature. It's really fundamental we just understand positioning of various features. From there, it's quite a lot of playful representation of these various features. So we can start to work with maybe something like an upturned shape in the eyebrows, in this case for this very unique saddened expression, to represent a more sad shape within the eyebrows. So that upturned kind of quality is just a really good way to start. In this case, we can also create maybe more significant downturn type of arc shapes within the eyes. We can also consider the size of the mouth for the character to represent both their feminine qualities and the sad expression in their mouth. Remember, it is important that we are also working with either feminine or masculine figure, so working with some reference images is just a great way to assist you in understanding not only how to represent the very unique shapes within the specific expression, but how to do so whilst maintaining the unique attributes of the character. So as we continue, we do want to make sure that we are considering the shapes of all the features and how they will work collectively to represent a unique facial expression in the drawing. In this case, if all the features have downturn qualities, this will inevitably create a more classical representation of a saddened face. So slowly we can start to use these main shapes to understand how to integrate shading to further enhance the facial expression. We want to make sure that we have the main shapes established, and then we can start refining them into unique identifiable attributes of the very unique character, whether they are male or female. As we establish these layers, we can also start having a more creative intervention where we play around with the unique features, again, such as hairstyle and facial shape. We can also consider the direction from which the light source is coming, and this will have a unique effect and kind of enhance the actual facial expression. So remember, we always want to consider the intention of the character design and how we kind of represent the character and their unique expressions with their unique attributes in their face. In this case, the features are slightly larger to define a more youthful or kind of adolescent aesthetic within the facial features, and in doing so we convey a slightly more innocent type of quality in the face of a feminine character as we represent this sad expression. So there's a lot of things to consider, but the basic things I always want to think about character design paired with shape in these various features and how they work together to not only convey an expression, but an expression through the very specific face of a very specific type of character. And then lastly, we're going to look at another type of facial expression, something really fun and different, and this is a facial expression of disgust. Ethnicity, gender, age, and various other contextualizing factors will always work together to contextualize the character and how emotions will therefore be expressed through their fundamental identity. So this is where we consider the ethnicity, the hairstyles, the facial shape, the nose shape, and how we can create a facial expression through this very specific type of character. Now this is where facial expression drawings become quite exciting, because the more familiar we are with the actual type of character identity or ethnicity, the better you will be at expressing emotions through their unique aesthetic. In this particular expression, we can also see that a sense of disgust can be defined through the bunching of the eyes. So the eyes can maintain a sense of defense by this kind of being slightly squinted action once again. So we can also play around with the widening of the mouth to maintain that sense of surprise or shock in the mouth type of movement. It's interesting to notice that the combinations of an angry eye expression with a shocked mouth expression can basically be the result of a sense of disgust. So once again, it is about playing with the combinations of various shapes, and this is why we explore different facial expressions to see what types of shapes in the face and how they pair together can create unique expressions. That being said, we must always consider that characters have different features, so we must always consider So that being said, we must always consider the actual identity or ethnicity or actual character facial features that are unique and have these very unique responses with their very unique facial features. So some might be distinct, some might be more subtle. It's a matter of character design and how their personality is also defined through expression. As we practice with more unique and challenging expressions, we will become more confident with the representing of various complicated expressions in various faces. But once again, as we establish the main shapes, we then can proceed to refine these features with shading. We always want to think about how the movement of the main features changes the skin around them, how this causes striations in the face, how this kind of cohesively connects all features together to create a very unique expression. And most importantly, try various expressions and make sure you build them up through the layering process of proportions, shape, refinement, and shading. But otherwise, there you have it, guys, a very simple guide on facial expressions, how to create a variety of different facial expressions with different shapes in various features, and how to use them together to convey specific emotions. If you did like this video, please do let us know in the comment section below if you are interested in similar or related topics, maybe something on character designs, looking specifically at eye movements, mouth movements, you name it, and we'll get to it. And you can also show your support by liking and subscribing. This helps us to grow the channel, which ultimately enables us to make more art related content for you guys, which we love to do. But that is it from me today. Until next time, see you in the next video. Cheers.